guys, it's Amy and I'm here with another video for you today. This one is about 2022 home decor trends and furniture trends. But the thing that makes this video a little different than some of the other ones out there is that I am speaking specifically to those of you who like to do DIY home decor projects, if you're a little handy or like to use a paintbrush, or those of you who are furniture flippers, because I know a lot of you who watch my channel are furniture flipping people and want that kind of content. With that said, I want you to check down below if you're one of those people. I have a free furniture flip pricing worksheet for you in the description. You can click on that link and get that so you know how much to charge for something or how much you can afford to pay for something to make the amount that you want on it. Now, I've done videos before where I go down to the market, to the World Trade Center in Dallas, and have talked to you about wholesale markets and what those look like, because those things are open to the trade only. And since I used to own a store and also used to have a wholesale manufacturing line, I have the credentials to get in there. And so I like to go periodically and see what's happening and what's coming up. I have quite a few videos about wholesale buying and selling, and I do have a playlist about that, which I will link that here so that you can see if you have other questions about how that works. I have other videos that address it. But one reason I love to go up to the wholesale markets is that you get to see what's going to be in the stores for the next year. You get to see it as it's coming, and so you kind of know what the trends are going to be and what's going to be being sold for the next 12 months or so before it's really out there hitting the stores. So last week I went up to the spring market. It is not one of the bigger markets, but I went up there. A lot of the things in spring market will be kind of similar to what they had that they were showing in January. The biggest markets there are in January and in June for Dallas. It's July for Atlanta and some other markets. But the spring and fall shows are smaller than the winter and summer shows, but it's still a chance to go up there and see what new offerings they have and what trends are happening. And so I looked overall, I was looking for some things that I had been reading about and seeing as upcoming trends, and I wanted to see what I actually saw in the form of products and merchandise that was going to be out there, and then how we could apply it to the things that we like to do. Those of us who are painters or do-it-yourselfers or furniture flippers, how do we apply these trends so that we're going to be kind of on top of things and be able to charge a premium for the things that we're selling, because we're going to be selling the stuff that people want. So to put it in a nutshell, the thing that I'm seeing, and I have heard other people talk about this trend that we're seeing since we've all been at home for the last couple years and things have changed in the world, and also just there's a natural swing back and forth from styles, you know, from one to the other, that we're moving away from the kind of cold, cooler minimalism and stark kinds of looks in our homes and in our rooms and decor. We're moving into something that's more of a layered, curvy, plush, sort of collected or vintage feeling vibe that feels warmer. The color palettes are warmer, and just the feeling overall is kind of warmer and cozier because of some of the things that we've experienced as a planet in the last few years. So I do see that trend continuing, and I see it in the products and in the styling of the showrooms that I went into. So let's talk about what that means specifically, what trends I saw really specifically in showrooms over and over again and got pictures of. One of them is that we're still going really strong with the natural materials, particularly like rattan, wicker, all those kinds of sort of bohemian or 70s throwback feeling materials, particularly like those kinds of things. And then even in woods, the natural woods or bleached out woods where people have taken it back down to kind of a natural finish on the wood, even in an old case gooder piece that would have been painted, we're stripping back down to a more of a natural finish within the woods oftentimes. I'm also seeing along with those natural rattan and wicker vibes, I'm seeing a ton of pampas grass. That's just definitely still everywhere, very, very trendy and popular, and it goes along in the colorways with those things and also in that natural feel. We're also seeing natural stone vessels along with all those other kinds of natural materials. Sometimes they may be faux stone or kind of natural ceramic and terracotta colors and vessels and materials being used. So these warmer palettes are definitely popping up everywhere, including like terracotta and rust type of colors. We're also seeing more creamy whites and taupey whites. Not really like within home decor, we don't go back to exactly what we had before. We always tweak it so that it feels fresh and modern again, but there's a lot of reference to past colorways. We're not going back just 10 years to that kind of cappuccino brown color in things, but we're going with more like creamy or taupey whites in the colors that we're seeing for our neutral. And even within florals, I'm seeing these warmer color vibes. And so I saw a lot of florals that were available, faux florals and dry florals and things. And I saw a lot of arrangements that were in these warmer color tones, and also a lot of pampas grass, like I mentioned. And then in the way that it's being styled, I'm seeing a lot of vessels, a lot of times natural looking vessels, and they're styled with these kind of long, spiky or linear looking natural pieces, branches, pampas grass, or other things like that. I'm seeing lots of curves. Like we said, we're moving away from kind of that very geometric and minimal vibe into something with a lot more curves. So on upholstered fabrics, I'm seeing a lot of curvy pieces. And then I'm seeing a lot of arched pieces within case goods or doorways or mirrors, all kinds of things like that. A lot of arches are very popular right now. I'm seeing this resurgence of what they're calling grand millennial or grandma chic. It's a throwback to kind of more traditional or cottage style, a lot of florals and things like that. So a lot of the ways that I'm seeing that being used, like up at market in products, is wallpaper, florals and things like that. They're being used not only on walls in the ways that they're styling things, but also sometimes within furniture, like on the back of a bookshelf, or also even framed, a piece of retro or floral looking wallpaper that's framed as wall art. Also, I'm seeing, in a nod to this style, I'm seeing a lot of faux vintage or vintage looking prints that are being framed and hung on the walls. So there's a lot of that vibe. And the thing you see at market is you're seeing a lot of new items, but a lot of what I'm seeing now is things that are made to look vintage because we're wanting this layered mixed look where everything doesn't look brand new. As far as our walls and color schemes and things on our walls and cabinets and case goods, lime washed walls are coming back, so that gives a softer and more old-fashioned feel. That's something that was popular in the past and has a lot of history. So lime wash or faux lime wash and some things I'm seeing is coming back. And also these, I keep hearing people say over and over, they just always use the term, these darker, moody colors. And what they mean by that, and I am seeing that in some of the products that I'm seeing, but a lot of what we're seeing that is in built-in or on walls in people's homes. So that means usually the deeper shades, the muted shades. I'm seeing a lot of deep green and deep blues that are coming in on both on walls and on like built-in case goods, bookshelves, cabinets, kitchen cabinets, and all kinds of places like that. But also we're seeing it on some like freestanding wood case goods like bookshelves and things up at the market. Now, a few other things that I observed up at market specifically that I have not necessarily heard mentioned in trend videos. I saw inlaid furniture, inlaid accent decor pieces, or even faux inlay, things that were made to look like that even if they weren't real inlay. So I'm seeing that as a big trend coming back again. Also, I saw screens, decorative screens, in lots of different forms as ways to warm up a room or divide a room when we're spending more time at home, or we have more like home office things than we used to have. The decorative screens and things like that are coming back as room dividers or just as decoration. I've observed several times, and I think this is really cool looking, I haven't heard anyone mention it, but rugs being used as upholstery, or traditional kinds of textiles and weaves that were not made to be upholstery. They're more often thicker and made to be used as rugs, but now they're being used on pieces as upholstery, especially if they look vintage and antique. Using those things as upholstery I'm seeing in quite a few showrooms, and it has a very cool vibe. And what that does is it gives this layered, collected, global, traveled, bohemian feel to a lot of things. And that's what I would say. Overall, I am seeing this very collected, curated, layered vibe. I even saw that in apparel when I was up at the market this time. So it's a trend all over. Even a lot of these clothing lines, it's like if you look at their booth, it looks like they got half of it at a thrift store or, a vintage shop. And so they're producing new things that look like that. And I'm just seeing those kinds of items popping up everywhere so that your home, your outfit, your everything that you have can have this feeling that it's It's got multi-layers. It's new and old combined. It's high style and low style. It's thrift store and designer. All these things kind of mixed and layered to give it a warm, more personal feel. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of, people expressing a lot of their own personality in their decor choices. And consequently, the market is responding to that with more things along those lines that have that kind of feel. So to speak specifically to how can you apply this knowledge? What can you do with this, especially if you're somebody like me who likes to paint things, and you're somebody who is kind of handy or can fix things up or can maybe upcycle something, or you love to go thrifting and find these little finds and have an idea of what's about to become very hot. Well, here are some suggestions for how you can apply this information in the next year to the things that you're buying and reselling or fixing for yourself. Let's talk about some of the things that we can do. We can paint case goods in these dark, moody colors. We can add some wallpaper to them if we want to, or to even, the insides of furniture drawers and things like that. Different kinds of places where you can find surprising ways to use wallpaper. You can try bleaching wood furniture. There are a ton of videos on YouTube about different ways to bleach furniture. Some of them are probably not real great for the furniture in the long run, but if it's not an expensive piece of furniture, then yeah, maybe you do want to try some of those extreme methods. You can Google it yourself and see what you want to try, but that look is a very cool look. Sometimes you can even just have an unfinished piece of furniture that you end up sort of whitewashing, and it'll give it that kind of look. So that's a little easier to do. When you're shopping, when you have your eye out for pieces that you want to flip or pieces you want to acquire for yourself, looking for these curved or arched items is going to be great for you, and also looking for anything like decorative screens or something that could be made into a decorative screen. Maybe it's a different item that people wouldn't have thought of using for a screen, but you're handy enough to kind of screw it together and make it stand into a folding screen. Those are the kinds of things that people will be looking for as special items in the next year. And then if you have some basic chops in using a paintbrush and using paints, there are all kinds of ways that you can replicate these kinds of looks with paint techniques, and those are some of the things I get the most excited about. So okay, antiques are back in style. Decorating with antiques, mixing them in with newer pieces is very much on trend right now. So you can create faux antiques with your paint techniques. If you find a piece of furniture that's not in great shape or not stylish the way that it's finished out, don't feel guilty about turning it into kind of that faux antique vibe looking furniture. You can create faux stone vessels out of glass, vases from the 80s that are not trendy anymore. There are ways, if you use salt wash and chalk paint, to make them look like they are stone or ceramic vessels that are old. And so that's something you can try. You can take some rattan or wicker that's been painted in a color that's not trendy, and you can paint it back to look like the natural wicker. It'll be faux natural wicker. Check out I recently did a video about how to do that. If it's in a color or a finish that isn't what's trending right now, you can paint it back to more of a natural color. It won't be natural wicker, but it will be something that looks more like that and fits in with that vibe a lot more. You can do faux lime wash on walls or furniture. I'll show you a picture of this because I took a picture in the Two's Company showroom. They have fabulous stylists who come in twice a year and just completely redo the place. And so they're not going to do real lime wash on the walls, because come 6 months from now, they're going to just do a whole fruit basket turnover of the entire showroom and change things up a lot. But what they did here was a faux lime wash that's quick to do. It's just basically dry brushing white or a much lighter shade of the color that you've painted on top of the color that's already there to make it have that lime wash vibe. And they did that here, and you can do that both on walls and on case goods. And that's going to be a popular look that you can do without doing the real true lime wash if you want to. You can also do faux inlay with a paintbrush and with stencils. There are stencils out there now that do that look of the traditional inlay, and that is a fun project to do. Stenciling is not super hard. It just requires, a little bit of time, and you have to be a little bit careful, but you can make something that looks like inlay for a fraction of the price. And that's something you can do as a project for yourself or a project to sell, because those things are popular, and an inlay piece is quite expensive. So doing a painted one could give somebody an option that's not as expensive. In my upcoming videos, I'm going to be trying some of these things I was just talking about. I'm going to be doing some of this kind of faux painting, or I've got some $20 bookshelves that I cannot wait to try painting in one of these dark, moody colors, and maybe even putting some wallpaper in the back. I'm going to be trying my hand at several of these different things and see how they turn out. And so I would love for you to join me. If that's the kind of content that interests you, please subscribe and click on that notification button so that you will be able to know when I post a new one and check them out. Thanks for watching.